Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast, where real students are doing real deals in the world of multifamily real estate. I'm Vince Gethings, the owner of the Wheelwell Profits Academy. Listen in as we dive into the journeys of driven individuals who are turning their dreams into reality. These people are just like you, taking action and making things happen. If you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and if you're ready to take action, check us out at wheelwellprofits.com to learn more about our incredible community. Let's get started.
This is Movers and Shakers, where we interview the upcoming generation of Make It Happen multifamily investors to share their story.
Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro. I'm co-founder of Jake and Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, mentor, and I am joined today by a special guest. His name is Hadar Orkibi. He's principal at MFI Holding. He's a U.S. citizen, full-time property investor and trader. Hadar has been investing in real estate for over a decade, specializing in long-distance, out-of-state investing. He started as a licensed real estate agent in Israel before immigrating to New Zealand in 2003. Hadar's portfolio includes multifamily apartments and commercial with triple net leases in New Zealand and the United States. Welcome to the show, Hadar. How you doing?
Great, Gino. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you've got an interesting story. I met you about 3 years ago. I remember we did our first live event. You're in the audience and we just meet and I'm like, I've never met anyone from New Zealand, and Hadar is a make it happen person, as you're going to see throughout this whole interview. He gets on the plane and he comes to Jacksonville and we go out to lunch. We go out to a barbecue place for lunch, and that was the start of a great relationship. Do you remember that, Hadar?
Yes, absolutely. You know, you were kind enough to meet with me when I was doing my market research tour. So I went to a few markets and went to see Jacksonville, and you know, we met for lunch, and it was great. And it was close to 3 years ago now, and you know, since then we've gone a long way. So It was great. You know.
So why multifamily, Hadar? Why have you chosen multifamily as a niche?
Multifamily is really an asset that allows you to scale up. There is an opportunity to purchase a large number of doors, which in effect will generate the income that you want to be financially free in one transaction. So the economy of scale that allows you to scale your business up through multifamily is really something that it's achievable with this asset class. For example, if you want to you know, my goal, for example, by 2022, I wanted to have 100 door. And I'm very close to that. At the moment, we have 66 doors. I got another 40 in the pipeline, and I'm very close to achieving my goals. One of the things that I like to concentrate on is the income amount, the passive income amount that I want to achieve, and I work backwards from there. How I'm going to achieve that. So in multifamily, under one transaction, I can acquire large numbers of doors. Because as you know, it takes the same amount of effort to underwrite and go through buying 20, 30, or 40 units as it is to buy one house. So you can basically scale up much faster.
So why did you choose the U.S. market living in New Zealand?
When I started up in New Zealand back in the day, you know, well over a decade ago, I started as a wholesaler. Gradually, I was doing manual labor in the vineyards, in the orchards, listening to CDs. Back then, there was no Wheelbarrow Profit podcast to listen, no Bigger Pockets or anything like that. So I was listening to CDs and getting myself educated. Once I became a wholesaler, I started making some money and gradually became a flipper. I started flipping houses, and with the profit, I started building my own buy and hold portfolio of small multifamilies. In New Zealand, they are mainly purpose-built, you know, for 5 units, maximum I ever seen there was about 10 units. And I bought my commercial real estate. I got to the point that my portfolio has appreciated significantly. I invest mainly in Auckland, New Zealand, which is a very strong market. It's the economic hub of New Zealand. That market matured significantly. So now it's more like Boston, New York, LA, very, very low cap rates. So although I have a lot of equity in the market, and now I have cash flow as well because I invested, started investing, close to 15 years ago now, but I can't really buy more properties which will make sense. So as an American citizen, about 3 years ago, I started to to look into the US and go into an asset class, the multifamily class, to increase my cash flow and go more towards my my financial goals, which is obviously a larger amount of passive income. And the thing I like about multifamily is that it's really a matter of increasing your income, basically reducing your expenses if you get the right asset, and you create a higher NOI, which in effect will create a higher cash flow and higher value in the back end once you finish repositioning and the asset is stabilized. So it's really a process that we learn through the community to achieve your goal through this asset class.
So Hadar, I have a lot of students and people who tell me I can't invest outside my backyard. They live in New York and they can't invest in Florida. How do you live in New Zealand and a different continent and invest in the United States?
First of all, the main thing for that is the mindset thing, because if you don't have the right mindset, there's a lot of hard work with this business, whether you are in the same state even, or if you're in America wanting to invest out of states. I think you need to really understand that there are challenges. This is not a quick fix, get rich situation. You need to work hard. You need to, the crucial point of investing out of area is to have a good team on the ground. So once you got a good team on the ground, you can make it happen. When I mean team on the ground, I mean you need to have a good property management company. You need to have a good third-party property management company, and that's your first protocol. You need to start relationship with brokers, with handymans. Once you visit the market, you really need to have some boots on the ground as well, whether it will be a partner in that market, whether it will be the property manager or a handyman that you formed relationship with. So investing out of market, it's not something that you can do without visiting the market. You really need to be committed to visit the market at least, if you're out of states, at least maybe every 2 or 3 months. Go there, meet the people, maybe even create some meetups. We encourage our students here in Jake and Gino, which I'm part of the accountability coaching, is to create meetups and go and network with people and widen your network. You can't do it in remote control and think that it's going to happen if you're not prepared to put the effort to expand your net and really be present in that market. It's really important to create that presence.
So when you went to Jacksonville, you were looking at that market. How did you select a market where you are right now? What was the criteria and what did you like about the market that you selected?
So really, Jacksonville, it's a great market. It's a growing market. It has population growth. It has a job growth. And this is really something that I learned from the community and through the education platform, which I've done. I've done all the video courses and going through all the coaching sessions that are there. You really need to research the population growth, the job growth. We like landlord friendly states as well. We don't want to invest in states which are not friendly. But again, I came to Jacksonville a little bit too late. The market is already booming, is already bolted, if you like. The horse is bolted. And at the same time, I was also looking that time at Memphis and a few other markets, which I decided not to invest. While I was in Memphis, I found the market being very competitive. And I met a few people who also from New Zealand who've been investing in Memphis. And through them, I went to get to know some other people, which indicated to me that that Arkansas could be a good choice because it's kind of under the radar a little bit. And it's more of a linear market, so it's not boom and bust, but it's good rent to price ratios. So my goal is cash flow. So I'm not going to go and invest in the market that it's only cash flowing and maybe the economy is not good there. But Arkansas is quite a steady market, so for me it was a good fit. And of course, like I said earlier, there was a solid opportunity here for me to build team on the ground, because I knew some people in the market. I got introduced to people who I felt I could build a relationship with. And I've been introduced to a very good property management company, which will be able to execute what I wanted to execute here.
Wow, there's so many golden nuggets. I want everyone to grab their pen and write this down because it's really important. First thing is Hadar took him a couple of years to find the market, to build the team. It's important to build a team. And a couple of team members that he mentioned was, number one, the property management company. It's crucial. Number two, I would say the real estate brokers are very important to build out there. Number three, we should also mention Hadar was probably sourcing money also. So he's probably talking to investors at the same time. So those are part of your team members. Really important to do that. The next thing is you need to visit the market and create a presence in that market. And I like the tip of creating meetups in the market. It forces you to go down there. That's really important. The next thing, I'm just trying to think of, there's so many golden nuggets that you threw out there. The next thing is you have to visit the market. It's imperative. You need to get down to the market. Important to do that. And I like all the metrics that you needed to find out what makes the market. And what's really important about the market that Hadar chose, it's his exit strategy. Hadar is not looking for a boom and bust market where it's only capital appreciation. Hadar is looking for what he called a linear market. And a linear market is more flatline. So if you buy an asset for, let's say, $35,000 per unit, 3 or 4 years from now, it'll probably be worth $35,000 per unit. Correct, Hadar? But at the same time, if you're buying it right, maybe you buy it for $30,000 per unit, and if you push up the NOI, you may get that capital appreciation. And I think the last thing I want to mention is that he snuck in there. It's the market itself is really under the radar. What Hadar means by that is there's not a lot of institutional capital coming in there, like the New Yorks, like the Auckland, like the LA, like the Miami, where it really compresses cap rates, which lowers cap rates and pushes up prices. So Hadar had a strict, I guess, guideline. He had goals set, and he created his exit strategy from those goals. So it's important going in. Hadar created the market. Hadar created his team, and he chose the market based on his parameters. Would you like to add anything to that? Because I think it's really important just to give everybody the overview of what your mindset was going into that market.
Yes, I would like to, first of all, to touch on a few points that you just mentioned. And one of these points is that it's good to set a goal. You know, my goal was to achieve $100 and, for example, an additional $10,000 a month by 2020. And by the way, it's all self-funded. So I'm not really raising capital just right now because I'm still funding my deals. But I will be, looking into doing that later. So the point I'm trying to make is that you might have a goal to achieve the goal, but you need to concentrate on the road towards achieving the goal. Don't look at the end goal all the time and keep that in front of mind. Concentrate on how to make it happen to reach to the goal, because that's where you make the traction, and that's what keeps you going and really working on the business and trying to work in the business in the beginning as well to get towards that goal. And, through the education, we learned how to buy right, finance right, and manage right. So without the education, I would not have the roadmap, if you like, towards achieving my goals. So I'm really recommending everybody, if they're listening to this, they really need to get educated. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to have the right roadmap towards achieving their goals. And the way to do that is to get educated and then scale your business up. Once you might want to start in the market, you'll be starting small. But gradually, you really need to scale it up, because if your goal is to have passive income, you need a large number of doors.
I like that, Hadar. Let's talk about that first deal. Not the first deal, this most recent deal you did in Arkansas. Can you go over the deal, how you found the deal? And it was more of a make it happen, because I know it didn't happen overnight. It was a long-term play where it came back to you and all that. So let's discuss that deal for everybody.
Yes. So at this point, this deal is really a deal that, like your guys, the first deal, first larger deal, if you want, if you like, that I had in this market here. I'm currently in Arkansas, by the way, still wanting to close on this deal. So about a year and a half ago, I've been engaging a few sellers, doing direct mail marketing. And at that time, I mapped out all the properties which I liked in that market, which would be, let's say, for example, up to 60 units. That's what I can self-fund myself, and I'm looking to buy those specific properties. So I managed to map them up. I had a list of all the owners, because I really sat down, spent the time to identify who owns what in the market. Again, it's not a large well, the metro is over 1 million people, but it's small enough market for me to get grasp which family owns how many communities and who owns what. So I identified that, and I did direct mail marketing to them. Once I received no response from them, I actually rang that particular owner. And I didn't get to talk to the decision maker. I think I got to speak with his wife. And I asked, could you please, first of all, introduce myself. Hi, my name is Hadar. I'm investing locally here in the community, and I'm looking to grow my portfolio. And I would like to ask you if you would consider selling your property. And all she told me is, leave me your phone number, and I'll get my husband to ring you. So he never rang me, and about a week or 10 days passed, and through Reonomy, I'm using Reonomy, been using it for a while now, close to 2 years. There's an email address over there. So I sent an email with the same text, which I just said. Hi, my name is Hadar, looking to grow my portfolio locally, been investing locally for a while. Would you consider selling? So a week after that, I received an email from a broker who represents the family. They have two other commercial property, industrial properties that they are currently looking to sell. And he approached me and said, you approached Mr. So-and-so. If you would like to this property, here's the asking price. The asking price back then was 1.6 million. They're looking to do a 1031 and move into a different asset class. So they are looking to sell, but I had to work with a broker. Although I started the initiation, the first approach was an off market, but that's how it rolled into. So, 1.6 million wasn't really an option because, first of all, it was a mom and pop owners really neglected the property for 30 years. There's a lot of deferred maintenance, and it became to the appearance that it's going to be a heavy value add transaction. And on top of that, the challenges with this was that there was no financials, absolutely no financials. And as Jack liked to say, Jack always says, the quality of the offer will be according to the quality of the financials. So we had no financials. So I went low and I said, no, I'm sorry, it's $1 million. So we negotiated and slowly, it was off market. I knew it's going to be off market for a while. I kind of had the feeling that I'm building rapport with that broker. At some point, they had a fire on the property, and so the property is 45 units. It's comprised of 11 fourplexes and 1 manager unit, which is actually a standalone 2-bedroom unit. So it's all up 45 units. Mm-hmm. One of the fourplex had a fire in it, and then we will keep negotiating, and we kind of deducted that fourplex from the price. So I'm only buying the 10 fourplexes now and the 1 manager unit. So it's supposed to be 41 units. So the price reduced himself, and gradually we kept negotiating, and I ended up securing the deal for 26 per door, not including the fourplex. Within the due diligence time frame, I had my boots on the ground to visit the burnt out fourplex and a couple of contractors, and we discovered that the fourplex is actually solvable. There's no, there's fire damage, severe fire damage in 1 unit, but the rest of it could be rehab. So in effect, I decided not to demolish that building. And I'll take a quick step backward and say that my offer, once I wanted to go for it, was I sent an offer to the seller, and I said, I'm going to buy this community, and I'm going to take on the burnt out building, and I'm going to pay for the demolition on my own account. So you can wash your hands on it, and you don't need to deal with it. And I'll just, make it a hassle-free sale for them, which was very appealing for them once they had that fire. And we managed to tie up the deal and based on that. But then I decided not to demolish it because I can spend some money to get that fourplex rehab, which will be effectively a great value add because I'm only paying for that extra 4 doors in the community, what it's going to cost me to improve it. So the ROI is going to be really, really good. So if I'm in for 26 per door, we're going to spend anything between $5,000 to $7,000. We're going to do half of the community a basic rehab, and then we're going to do the other half, which we're going to do it as a premium rehab with some granite, and we're going to have a rent range there of between $550 to $625 for the premium rehab. So it's going to be a really nice rent bump. Those units being rented currently for $445 per door. So wow. There's off the cards, there's a mixture. Let's list some other units for about $450 to $600. So I know the market well anyway, but already there are some units now since we got the property under contract that they have already $100 rent bumps by the current management because I think they actually want me to keep them, which I'm not going to. So they're making a bit more in an effort. But there's $150 rent bumps roughly. There's about currently 35% loss to lease. Loss to lease means that from what the currently property is rented for, there is 35% rental upside in the rent, which will result in a massive value add opportunity.
Wow. So I'm writing down some value adds here. So the first one is the burned out units. So everybody that's listening, once again, we've got to write this down because this is really important. Hadar is solving a problem for the seller. And the problem is the seller is motivated. He's a mom and pop. He just had a fire in the property. He doesn't know how to deal with the fire probably because it doesn't seem like it's a huge problem. If you lose one of the units, Hadar is basically getting those 3 other units, I wouldn't say for free, but it's really important that there's a lot of value there. He's solving the problem. The loss to lease is very important. He's basically buying a property that has a lot of value add, that has a lot of upside mobility with the rents, which is really important. I'm assuming that this is probably run a little inefficiently as far as expenses go, as far as what contract services are probably a little expensive, probably property management's a little expensive. So there's that issue also. Trying to think if there's anything else off the top of my head as far as value adds go on this property. What else do you see as value add on this property?
There's other value adds opportunity there. I mean, for example, there is this property is sitting on 3.5 hectare of land. So, you know, it's really spacious. There's an opportunity to possibly build storage units on an old basketball court. Now it's covered with, it's a concrete slab, and it's covered with grass and stuff. So, you know, there's an opportunity to do that. There is an opportunity which we're going to do. We're going to put picnic tables around the place. So we're first going to go in and improve the amenities outside so the tenants can actually feel that there is a change is taking place without going into the unit straight away. So we're going to put some nice picnic tables. We're going to create a dog park over there and some fencing. In addition to that, you know, one of the challenges with this property was that it was 20% vacant. It is 20% vacant at the moment. So, you know, that's a value add by itself, just to fill in the occupancy and rotate those units. What we're going to do is we're going to come to the existing tenants, which we use the Jake and Gino letter, kind of modified it a little bit, you know, the tenant takeover letter. So introducing ourselves, new management, new ownership, what we're going to do. And we said that we want to offer the existing tenants the opportunity to sign up for 6 months with their existing rent. And then they can sign up for another 12 months. So it's going to be an 18 months lease, which will be 6 months in existing rent and then 12 months on the higher market rent. And we can even give them the opportunity to move into a renovated units. And the reason we're doing that is because we don't want to have an exodus, if you like, once we take over, that a lot of tenants will be moving. So, I mean, we can't really afford, if you like, to suddenly have the property 50% vacant. 20% we underwritten the deal based on that, and a little bit more, but 50% will be challenging.
That's awesome. What I wanted to ask you was, what kind of advice would you give to the listeners if, like you did on this deal, putting, I would say, a lowball offer in? To me, it's not a lowball offer, but when somebody hears the property's selling for $1.6 million and you put a $1 million offer, what advice would you give to the listeners? How do you do that? Because people are like, I can't give a lowball offer like that. What would you tell the listeners?
I think that the first thing to do is to really form a rapport with the broker, because you don't want to insult the broker and you want to keep the conversation going. You want to build a relationship with this broker, whether it's for this deal or to the next deal. So I think you need to take the time to talk to the broker, whether you're there in the place. If you live in the state, in the location, or even if you're traveling, you really want to walk through the property. So they see that you're making some kind of an effort to evaluate the deal. That's number one. It's keeping the relationship going, because even if you start low, you can always keep going up to your actually strike price, if you like. It's very, very important. You don't want to insult the broker. What I do is I go to market research before I do the offer, and then I because I know the market pretty well and I monitor sales within the market. I use those comparables as a point of reference when I'm talking to the broker before I even submit it on paper. Because there's no point putting it on paper if the broker is going to just put it in the bin, in the garbage, if you like, and not really take it to the broker. So I like to share my views with the broker. And I personally ask him, how do you feel about presenting that? You know, I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm not going to waste my time if he's just going to get insulted and spit the dummy, you know, I wouldn't want to present it. So, and then I tell him, listen, this is my underwriting. I can send you the underwriting. I can send him the Excel spreadsheet and the comparable, and tell them this and this community sold for that price. Here is my underwriting. And, you know, we are getting in on a very low cap rate, while the market cap rate is set, for example, 70% on the actual number. This is the price that we're getting for. So let me give you an example. I mean, this particular deal that we're buying now, the one I'm buying right now, I'm buying it at the 4.5 cap. I'm buying at the 4.5 cap. The first year might be a little bit, well, it would be fine, but you know, it's not going to be cash flowing a lot in the first year. But I'm looking, you know, a year ahead, 2 years ahead, man. If it's going to be after refi, it's still going to give $40,000 passive income after all expenses, including property management. So the entry cap rate, it's not really something that should make or break the deal, because it's where you can take the property to that it's really the point.
Wow. That I love that. I gotta stop there for 1 second, because everyone really needs to hear that. We're all focused on, you know, that entry cap rate. It's not where you have the deal, where you're buying the deal. What Hadar said, it's where the deal can go, which is really important. Excellent point. I love that point. Sorry to interrupt you. That was just something that students and everyone on this call needs to really hear, because we're all focused on, you know, price. When we really should be focused on value. Because if you're buying a 4 cap and it can't go anywhere, at least you know it's a 4 cap. But if you're doing your underwriting and you can take a 4 cap to a 7 or 8 cap and then refi it back, that's really huge. So great job with that. I love that.
Yes, and it's very, very important to keep it in mind. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people say that, and I want to reiterate that in real estate, you make your money when you buy. You buy well. I don't mind buying at a lower cap rate. Cap rate is immaterial, because, you know, I know how much value add there is in the property. And the fact that there is 20% vacancies and the rent are 35% under value, that reflects a lower cap rate because the income is low. But that's the opportunity. That's the value add. That's how we got in. We repositioned the asset. You know, we increased the NOI, and then we can refi and roll the deal and keep doing it because there's enough meat on the bone. And that's what we like to see. So, you know, I wouldn't buy a property that doesn't have at least 15% rental upside. It's one of my criteria. I tell them I want CNB, I like 1960s or younger, and I want to have at least 15% rental upside. Otherwise, there's just no meat on the bone. There's nothing to do.
Wow. So Hadar is a student, because everything he's mentioned there, refi and roll, buying at a lower cap rate, entry cap rate, so flipping the cap rate. Everyone needs to write this down also, because this is really important, what Hadar just said. How to get a deal and how to actually put in what everyone would think would be a low offer. The first one is to build rapport. That's so important, building rapport with the broker and not just throwing out a number and really destroying that relationship. The second thing is Hadar knows the market. He spent time in the market. He knows where cap rates are. He knows what it costs to run a property, expenses per door. He knows what the typical income on the door is. That's really important. He's educated about the market, and it doesn't happen overnight. Hadar's been doing this for 3 years, and he's been in that Arkansas market for over a year and a half, 2 years. So he knows the market really well. And the third one is send your underwriting over. Share the underwriting with the broker. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. And say, Mr. Broker, I'm sorry, this deal doesn't work. When you get another deal, just send it over, and I'd love to work with you. So you're saving face, and there's no such thing as a lowball offer. I had a quick joke about it. We were selling a property, and the broker said to me, you know, whenever you get an offer, a lowball offer, just say, hey, you know what? Thanks for the offer. That's the best offer I've gotten all day, but it's just a little too low for me. So that's what you just say. I mean, if the offer is too low and it doesn't work, that's fine. But Hadar has a lot of buy right parameters nailed down. And if they don't work for him, he's just going to go on to the next deal. So that's really important. I love that. Let's just take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
Sure.
Hello, everybody. Jake and Gino here, and it's that time of year again. Rand Cares is looking to feed 20,000 hungry children this fall, and we can do it with your help. Our mission is to improve the lives of others by creating communities that allow people to become the best versions of themselves.
Rand Cares was created to help further this mission. Please visit our Jake and Gino Facebook page and click the Rand Cares link pinned to the top of the page to donate and help fulfill our mission by feeding 20,000 hungry kids this fall. Thank you for partnering with our family of companies to make a huge impact in our community. Hadar, I could go on and on and on about this deal, this property. It's been really informative. I mean, I hope everyone goes back and listens to this interview because there's a lot of golden nuggets in here. What I want to know is, what is your best advice for anybody trying to get into their first multifamily property?
Okay, Gino. So I got quite a few points I would like to mention, but one of the points I want to mention, which ties up to just the last segment we just had, is that when you look into the market, you really need to get yourself educated on that market. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that I do it is I subscribe to, and that's a golden nugget. Everybody should take note of that. I'm subscribed to an online newspaper. It's also a printed newspaper locally. For example, my market is Arkansas Business. Mm-hmm. And every market has that. That market lists the transaction, the multifamily transaction and commercial transaction. And it also covers what's going on in the financial world, like which banks are lending, which banks are closing deals. And I monitor that on a weekly basis. It sends an email to my mailbox. And I can see that this and this community is sold for this and this per door. And I record that. And that's something that I can pull out of my hat to use as a comparable when I'm talking to a broker. So again, getting to know your market is number one key if you want to get into any market. And you can do it remotely. I'm doing it from New Zealand, which is, over 8 hours journey to get to the US. You can do it as well. There's no excuses. That's number one. The number two point that I would like to make, which is something that everybody should know, is when you go into a market, you need to decide, if you decide that this market is for you, you need to go and start stabilizing those relationships with the community bank. Because in this particular deal, I had a few bankers, they can see my net worth and liquidity. They can see my experience. They can see that I own multi-type of real estate. I own, like Gino said in the beginning, commercial, and I have experience. But still, they went to the committee, and there were 12 people on the committee, and they said, "Who is Hadar from New Zealand? We're not going to lend the money. We're only lending to people who are in Arkansas." Or okay, he's got the experience, but he never did such a heavy 20% vacancy deal in our market, and they didn't want to fund the deal. So in the end, whoever funded the deal was the bank that I had a relationship with. When I decided I'm going for Arkansas, I went to the branch and I opened a bank account. I put in my case, I put $5,000 deposit. $1,000 out of that was used to provide me with a secure credit card, meaning that they take hold of the $1,000 and they give me a credit card. And slowly but surely, I started building a credit record with them because I used that credit card to pay, let's say, just a bigger pockets subscription or something like that on a monthly basis. And a year and a half, 18 months, 2 years down the track, they can see that I pay my bills and I got a relationship with them. So establishing those relationships with the local community banks earlier is a very, very important. Do it straight away if you go into the market because they will fund your deals. You got a relationship. So that's a really important tip to do. In addition to that, I would like to say that you have to get educated. If you want to get into multifamily, you need to get educated and surround yourself with like-minded people. This is a team sport. We bounce ideas from each other through our community on a regular basis. If you're part of the community, you'll see I post a lot of things there, whether I share my experience or whether I ask questions for feedback. And it's okay to start small. If you want to start small and you want to buy a 4-plex or a 5-plex or a 10-plex, it's okay to start small because when you start in a new market, you want to have a trial just to see if your property management is performing, if your general contractor are performing well, and if everything is actually your management plan and your repositioning plan to see that it's executed correctly and according to what. So you can adjust later on down the track. You rather do a mistake on a smaller deal than do a mistake on a large deal. So that's if you're able to go and fund the deal on yourself and you can do it, whether you do it just yourself or with a partner or something like that. if you're starting and you don't have the resources, you need to build those networking relations. Again, your success is determined on your drive and your focus and your ability to make it happen and go and create those relationships. We have some students in my coaching with Jake and Gino within our mastermind and accountability pod who are making it happen. They're going to create meetups. They got people coming. They get speakers in to come, and they create this credibility and kind of a thought leadership just by doing that. And because their journey will start with raising money, because they need to raise the money to get into the deals. So these are the really important things that you should consider.
Wow, there's so many golden nuggets there. I love all of that. And it really comes down to education times action equals results, because you can take the massive action like I did on my first couple of deals, massive action I was taking, but I wasn't educated and I got bad results. When I decided that multifamily was for me, and I give Hadar a lot of credit because he was doing real estate for years and years before he started multifamily, before he dove into getting educated on multifamily. How did you find Jake and Gino? And, from being in New Zealand and making the flip over here to do it over here, what was that shift for you? How did you come to that realization?
So really, I, listening to Bigger Pockets, and they were talking about, when you guys started, they were talking about, and I just listened, when I gone through listening to the Jake and Gino podcast back when I started, I actually saved some of the episode because I said, that's a good episode. I might listen to it again in the future. And about a week ago, I was listening to one of your very, very first podcasts. It was so funny. It was really good though,
Burn that podcast, get rid of it. Don't listen to it.
No, back then, it was really nice to listen. So I remember in Bigger Pockets, Josh and Brandon were saying those two wheelbarrow guys and all of that. And I said, I must check out those multifamily investors. And then I got into your podcast, and the rest is history, because you provide so much value. And I must say, Gino, we connected, we connected in a way that it's really, you guys are very approachable. You're very real. Make it happen, and just made it a good option for me. So yeah, I read the book. I bought the book on Amazon. I read the book, a Wheelbarrow Profit book. If anybody wants to learn about multifamily, it's all there. You need to read that. Another great book I can recommend on multifamily is Brian Mary's, Crushing It with Brian Mary's. A lot of good case studies there, and it's a good book. But yeah, for me, the Wheelbarrow family, for me, it offers everything I need. I feel like it's, for me, it's everything I need. So
this is awesome. I wish Josh was here because I let him recap it. But for me, recapping the whole show right now is really about clarity, right? You got really crystal clear on your goals. The second thing is setting the goals. The third thing is the book from Atomic Habits. Don't fall in love with the goals. Fall in love with the process or the system to get to those goals. And Hadar's process is really building rapport, knowing the market, finding the market, doing direct mails, getting lead flow. That's what Hadar, I think, really enjoys to do. And he's not worried about getting 100 doors or 200 doors because it's going to happen. Maybe it might not happen tomorrow, but it will happen. He's not focused on that goal. He's focused on the process. He fell in love with that process, right? That's really important to do. And I think the other thing is just really learn and really get yourself educated. And also, the community is a place where you can hold yourself accountable. We love to have accountability coaches and accountability people and masterminds because that's where we become really successful. Because if we're on an island by ourselves, it's really hard to hold yourself accountable when you're by yourself. Because if you don't have a strong enough why, I had a strong enough why, so I figured out how. But a lot of us don't have that strong enough why. We're not that uncomfortable. And when we hit a roadblock or a little pothole or a broker says no to us after working on a deal for 2 months, we just might quit. So having that accountability piece is also huge. You want to continue, Hadar? You just want to round it off and finish this thing up?
Yes. So about the being comfortable, it's a very, very, very good point and very important point, because I identified that, for example, in our one of our mastermind groups, that one of the students, he was comfortable. He's semi-retired and he's comfortable, and he's doing a great job educating and everything else. But sometimes when you're when you're comfortable, you're kind of not taking enough action to see the results. And you really need to understand that. And I took the initiative, and I kind of scheduled the private talk with them, not in the mastermind. And I told them, listen, please let me, don't get offended or anything, but I wanted to ask you how much you're earning per month, what's going on here? Because you're sitting on the sideline, you're kind of looking on things, and you're doing a great job, but you can take it to the next level and achieve result by actually getting a little bit uncomfortable and doing those marketing, doing those cold calling, and really to achieve. People ask me, how do you make it happen? And it's a simple question. I'm prepared, simple answer. I'm prepared to do what others would not do. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I do cold calling because I need to in the US. And you know what? Maybe one day I would not do that anymore. But at the moment when I'm scaling up, when I'm looking to build my portfolio, I'm prepared to do that. And it's not a big deal. It's just one of those things that you have to do. You have to do that. You have to do your direct mail marketing and just make it happen. Go all out. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
I love that. How can the listeners get a hold of you?
Listeners can go and visit me on my website, which is mfiholding.com, holding with a G, mfiholding.com. You can also visit my YouTube channel, which is Hadar Orkibi, just the name of my name. You can search that and you'll find it. And I also created an ebook, which is, the ebooks cover about investing out of area and how to make it happen in real estate, that in multifamily apartments. That's the ebook. You can find it on my website. And there is also an educational course about investing out of states on it. It's just an hour presentation that I made. You can find the link on my website, or you can email me on ebook@mfiholding.com. And I'll be happy to send you the information if you like. Always happy to share and help.
That's awesome. I want to thank Hadar today for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing his Movers and Shakers story. Now, if you want to be the next Movers and Shakers guest, email us at josh@jakeandgino.com. And if you like the show, please leave us a review. Until next time, let's all make it a Movers and Shakers week. Hadar, thanks for sharing your story. Take care.
Thanks, Gino.